Hello there, and welcome to Science Fiction Saturday. I'm Scotty, you're not, and today we're talking about the 1997 Paul Verhoeven classic Starship Troopers, starring Casper Van Dien, Patrick Muldoon, Michael Ironside, Clancy Brown, Neil Patrick Harris, Denise Richards, Jake Busey, big cast. And of course, directed by Paul Verhoeven. And I love this movie. Well, I like this movie. I'll say I like it because it's gone down for me. But so a little history with Scotty. I don't know why my tongue is doing that again. I don't understand. So I have this. So the legacy of this movie is that it would essentially give us 2 live-action sequels, 2 animated sequels, and an animated series that I used to watch called Roughnecks Starship Troopers Chronicles. There was another box set that a friend of mine had that I borrowed the 3 movies and watched them. First one's real good. The other 2 I don't remember being so good. Casper Van Dien only comes back for the 3rd one and the 2nd animated one, but still, not really. Yeah. So, in this film, there are alien bugs that are attacking Earth, and a group of soldiers have to fight them off. The Starship Troopers have to fight them off. Yeah. The main character is Johnny Rico, played by Casper Van Dien. And, yeah, he's a newly recruited soldier that is brought in. Of course, he has some trials and tribulations. He has some issues. He gets basically whipped in front of people for misconduct. But when shit happens and his parents are casualties of this shit happening, he goes to war. A good man goes to war. Just watched the episode of Doctor Who, by the way. Great episode. And he'll put his life on the line to save the day, So the cast makes this movie, right? Neil Patrick Harris plays this guy who's like psychic, and then later dresses like he's sort of like a Gestapo, but not really, but he's this psychic guy. And it raises the question. So at one point in this film, there's this asteroid that, is coming to Earth, and it crashes on Earth, destroying Van Nuys. I think it's Van Nuys, or wherever Rico's parents are. Johnny Rico's parents. By the way, Casper Van Dien, who plays Johnny Rico, will go on to play another Johnny Gage, in one of the seasons of Mortal Kombat Legacy. I think it's season 2. But, yeah. And so now he wants revenge. But if they had psychics, why couldn't they see this thing coming? Right? It's a big plot hole, I guess you could say. Yeah. There's also a building of relationships in this film, which leads me to my biggest issue. Johnny and Carmen. Okay? So, at the beginning of this film, Johnny and Carmen are sort of a thing. Carmen is Denise Richards' character. They're sort of a thing, and, they have a thing going on, and then once they start to enroll in the academy, she meets another recruit named Xander, played by Patrick Muldoon, who was that motherfucker that broke up Zach and Kelly on Saved by the Bell, and I'll never fucking forget him for that. And that was pretty much as pointless as his role in this too. Spoilers for Saved by the Bell, but during season, I don't know, 2 or 3, Zach and Kelly finally get together, right? Then, after a handful of episodes, she meets this guy named Jeff, played by Patrick Muldoon, who's the new manager of the Max, and she starts working because her parents don't have any money anymore, they're broke, so she has to start working. just around the time for prom, she realizes she has feelings for this Jeff and ends up breaking up with Zach. Only to find out a couple episodes later that he's a cheater and was dating other women behind her back, and then they break up. But then Zach and Kelly never get back together. There's like the Palm Springs weekend where they hint at getting back together, but they don't. Not until the college years, which is, could be considered too little too late. If you really think about it, but it's just like, you broke them up, only to then for her to leave him for this guy, and then they break up, and what was the point, right? And it's pretty much the same here. So she's a pilot, and Xander is a pilot. So they're put together as pilots, and they become kind of romantic with each other, and so she breaks up with Rico. There's another soldier cadet named Dizzy, played by Dina Meyer, you may know as Detective Carey from the Saw movies. But she sort of has a thing for him, you can tell early on, for Rico, and then they hook up. And they become a thing. They even do the bang boom in the bed, But then, Dizzy is killed off by one of the bugs, and then when Carmen and Xander crash land by this big brain bug, Xander gets his brain sucked out by the brain bug, and that's it. And I'm sitting here going, what was the point? What was the point of breaking them up to be with two other people, and then both those other people die? And then they don't. I will say this: they didn't get them back together, which again, whoever watched this could have saw what. Hey, you were on Saved by the Bell. I like that love triangle thing they did, and they just copied it pretty much verbatim, but with an extra woman, an extra female character. It just never made any sense to me. And yes, I know that the three main characters of this film are basically Johnny Rico, Carmen, and Gestapo Patrick Harris. So, yeah, they're the ones that are, the three of them are at the end. They're all like, yeah, the three of us, So they're the ones that are left, but still. It's... I don't know, what was the point of breaking them up and have them go with other people if you're just going to kill off those people? And then they're kind of back at square one because they're not together anymore. It's just I don't know. It's confusing. The special effects look pretty good, even from 1997. And I'm watching this HD. I watched it on Vudu. I have the 4K, but I don't have a 4K player. I don't know how that looks, but it looks pretty good. The effects. I think they use between CGI and practical. And again, it's Verhoeven. He's very good with doing movies with practical effects. He's very good at setting those up well. So that's one of the big spots. And also, if you didn't know it was a Verhoeven film, the start of this movie, you would. Because much like RoboCop, he throws a bunch of propaganda in there. But unlike, futuristic societies in RoboCop, here it's war propaganda. It even ends with join the war, fighting the war, the whole... I know it's just, I'm sorry. The whole thing that, we got it. You're nailing in, just like the other one was like commercials and buying, and, I'll buy that for $1, and commercialism, and, bringing in new, the new developments and stuff like that. That's what that commentary was, and this one is... Sorry, my nose is itching like hell. Is war commentary. In 97, I was 10, so I had no idea what they were trying to say in war, about war in 97. Was it? I don't know. I don't know what they were doing in 97. But some of the designs, like I mentioned that brain bug earlier, and it basically looks like a big, giant, gooey vagina bug. Like, their opening's like a little hole, but it looks like, yeah, I don't know. There are some pretty good action scenes in here too. Mike, so at one point they're showing them how you fight the bugs, and they say that you have to do it in a certain way, or we'll shoot them in a certain angle to do it, and you have to, because of course it can't be as simple as shoot them and they'll die. I don't know. It's a confusing thing. Only because you have to have this whole thing where you fight them, and yes, it has to be more than just shoot them and they'll die. It has to be a struggle to do it, you know. So it's a bit of a criticism for me. It's like, why can't you just shoot them? Just have more bugs. That's all you need to do, right? Not just, oh, you gotta shoot them a certain way to get them to, you know. It's like in Power Rangers in season 2, they had to make the putties more difficult, so it was hard for them to fight until they realized, oh, just hit the Z, and it just became probably easier than fighting the putties in season 1. Probably just hit the Z and right. There is an infamous scene in this film, a shower scene. Bunch of naked peoples. Apparently, I don't know how true this is because I saw on the internet. Apparently, in order for the actors to feel comfortable, Paul Verhoeven also was butt-ass naked while filming this scene. Which, you know, the director doesn't always film the scene with the camera. There's a DP. No. I don't want to talk about DPs in the shower. A director of photography, okay? The director of photography that does most of the filming from the point of view. You know, like Dean Cundy was directing photography for some of. See why it's easier to say DP, but when you're talking about a shower scene, director of photography for like Halloween and other movies, you know, in here. I don't remember who it was, but does it say in the back? No. It's directed by Paul Verhoeven. Yeah. And you, like I said, you have other performances in here too, like Jake Busey, who has the flattest flat top I've ever seen. I mean, good God, it's like, even Guile from Street Fighter would say, damn. Michael Ironside as their commander. He dies at some point in the film, but he's great. It's Michael fucking Ironside. Of course he's great. Clancy Brown, you know, Mr. Krabs, plays a drill instructor who is the one responsible for capturing this brain bug later at the end of the film. And so the movie doesn't end in a we win everything type of situation. They won their battle, but they haven't won the war, because they're like, well, they've won this battle, they've captured a brain bug, and Neil Patrick Harris says it's scared, because she's psychic. Gestapo Patrick Harris, excuse me, says it's scared, and then they just celebrate. And the movie ends with that, during the war. And I think every single one of the 3 live action ones at least end with that. So there's like no end in sight. I think that's my one criticism, is that for some reason there's never a definitive ending to this war. It's one of those always got to keep going type situation. Like when they did this, there's no way they thought they were going to do a sequel. So like this is based on a book, but it has nothing to do with it. There was already a script written, and they just used the name Starship Troopers. So yeah. But there's 2 live action sequels, 2 animated sequels, and a pretty good animated TV series, Roughnecks, which was a CG animated series in the late 90s. So, or early 2000s, whatever it was. So you know how well that looked. Remember Reboot? Beast Wars? I don't think it was made from it. I think it was something else. I remember it aired on UPN, at least where I lived, and the Sci-Fi channel on the weekends. So, yeah, I remember it being pretty good. Remember there was another G.I. Joe? G.I. Joe... Oh, what's it? There was the 80s show, but there was one in the 90s, too. Not Sigma, that was the 2000s. There was another one. I don't know, but kind of... You know, I actually think that Roughnecks may have aired on the Kids WB in the afternoons, too. Maybe it was just syndication and it aired on whatever, but, you know. That's where UPM as well. Now, although by that point, maybe UPM is kind of out of the... No? I don't know. But, yeah, what was the football scene in this? Or whatever they're trying to play? What was the point of that? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that was supposed to be, but you gotta have a sports scene, I guess. Just to start this rivalry between Johnny Rico and Xander, I guess. I don't know. But, again, they have this rivalry, but it's only like a couple times throughout the film. You have it here, and then later, once Rico realizes that Carmen left him for Xander, then they have a little fight, and then nothing. Because the next time he sees Carmen, Xander's dead, and so is Dizzy, and so, like, that, I don't know, I just don't get that kind of relationship thing. You know, there's also the scene where he argues with his parents, right? Like, he's gonna go up, and his mother's kind of supportive, but, you know, it's one of those things where, at least in that point in time, the mother was always kind of the one standing behind the dad and didn't really say anything. So the dad was all like, no, you're not doing that, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, but you're not gonna go there. And he's like, no, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna sign up, and they have an issue. And then once he decides he's gonna leave partway through the film, he calls him and he's like, I'm coming home. And they're like, okay, son, come home. And I'm like, what? But then this is only so that he can see the sky getting dark and something happening and realize that something bad is coming. Then he's running to rejoin the war effort, I guess. Well, if your parents die because of this thing, you kind of would want to rejoin it too. So I understand it, but I don't know, the whole sure, son, come back home after they argued. Like, you think even though the dad didn't want to do it, you'd be like, no, son, you said you wanted to do this. Now, God damn it, you're going to do it. You know. I also feel like this is rated R, and you know, you got the graphic violence and the nudity, but I don't know if I heard the F-bomb enough. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention enough. Maybe they said it a whole bunch of times. I remember hearing it a couple times, but not overly enough. And again, more than one F-bomb and you're guaranteed an R-rated, I guess. Yeah. Tell that to Galaxy Quest. Yeah, you know that line at the end of the movie where they show that thing? And Sigourney Weaver says, well, screw that. Look very closely at her lips. That's not what she's saying. Nope. That movie was meant to be a lot darker than it was. But anyway, I would say this movie is actually pretty good. You know, I don't think that Paul Verhoeven had a bad fit. Okay, maybe one. Speaking of Saved by the Bell connections, maybe he was a Saved by the Bell fan. Maybe after he did that movie, he was like, you know what, I'm going to watch the Saved by the Bell show. And then saw that episode and went, you know, that would be a good idea. I don't even know what nationality he is. He's Norwegian. Maybe that would be a good idea for my movie. And then just verbatim copied everything except for the cheating part. Like, if you had revealed that, like, she left Rico for Xander, but he was like two-timing her with another chick, it's one thing. I will say one thing about Xander: he's not the same character as Jeff. He's actually a nicer guy, despite fighting with Rico. He's not a terrible person, but he's, you know, you just want, if you're a fan of Sci-Fi, you just want to see the fucker die, and he does. Too late for my liking. But yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoy it pretty much. It's, I don't know. I'm planning on trying to get the other two. I know he's done other movies, but I want like the ones that are in English. There's a bunch of Norwegian ones or whatever the language was, Norwegian or whatever it is. His native language that I won't do. I'm not a big foreign film guy unless it's Gojira. But so I have like Flesh and Blood, or Flesh Blood, whatever you want to call it, and of course Showgirls. Why would you have Paul Verhoeven direct Showgirls? That's like, you look at his filmography and there's a lot of action to it, right? Except for when you get to Showgirls and you're like, what the hell happened here? What? Big Dip in what the hell? You look at Total Recall, action sci-fi, right? You got Starship with action sci-fi. That Flesh Blood looks like an action type film. Hollow Man, action horror. You know, it just seems like that has that aesthetic. And you see Showgirls and you go, it's like sore thumb. It doesn't belong. These things just doesn't belong here. But yeah, eventually I'll get to those. I have seen bits and pieces of Showgirls. It was on TV. It was on like Bravo or something. So like all the titties and stuff were blurred out, and I mean blurred. They just blots right here, blurred. So yeah. Yeah, and yes, I have seen that scene in the pool with Kyle MacLachlan. I have seen that scene, and oh god. Yeah, we'll get to that eventually. I'm gonna have to get to that. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Starship Troopers, and what are your thoughts overall on this Sci-Fi Saturday? I'm probably gonna mention it in my other video, but it's gonna be every Saturday in June, July, and August. 14 reviews already for you, ready for you to watch, to view, whatever. Yeah, it's something new. I want to do something new, so here it is. So, thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.